This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, April 7th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The markets appear ready to take another dive today as the fallout from President Trump's trade wars continues. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The message to President Trump by tens of thousands from coast to coast. I'm Rich Johnson.
Republicans say significant progress is being made surrounding budget cuts. I'm Clayton Neville.
The reviews are in, and it would be safe to say that Wall Street doesn't much care for the latest round of tariffs.
I think this is the biggest policy mistake.
I'm Peter Schacknow.
Benjamin Netanyahu visits with President Trump today.
Texas has reported a second child has died from a measles-related illness. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
Alex Ovechkin is now the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. I'm Geffen Kuhlbach.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Countries hit with restrictive tariffs last week want to come to the negotiating table as investors brace for what looks like another tough day in the markets. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Speaking aboard Air Force One last night, the president urging Americans nervous about the falling stock market and their retirement accounts to hold strong, saying sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
We will be taking in over $1 trillion over the next short period of time with the tariffs that I've already instituted. They're already in place. Now, what's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger.
Some administration officials have indicated the president isn't going to negotiate with countries to alter the tariffs, but Trump says he's keeping an open mind.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations, and they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk?
The Wall Street Journal reporting China, who saw an additional 34% tariff levied on them last week, is reciprocating with a 34% tariff on all American goods with no exceptions. They're also blacklisting certain U.S. companies and banning some rare earth exports as well. China has reportedly been unable to open a line of communication with the White House on trade. However, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells NBC's Meet the Press some nations are ready to deal.
He's created maximum leverage for himself, and more than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs.
As for the turbulent financial markets, Bessent disputed the notion that people should be concerned about their retirement accounts right now.
I think that's a false narrative. Americans who want to retire right now, the Americans who have put away for years in their savings accounts, I think they don't look at the day-to-day fluctuations of what's happening.
Director of the White House Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, was asked on ABC's This Week if the president is trying to manipulate the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates with these tariffs.
It is not a strategy for the markets to crash. It's a strategy to create a golden age in America for the American worker. That's his strategy.
The conservative DC-based think tank American Enterprise Institute found that the formula used to determine the international tariff rates came from a faulty formula that is overinflating the impact by 4 times as much. UK-based automaker Jaguar Land Rover announced they are pausing shipments to the U.S. in response, and French Prime Minister François Bayrou warned the tariffs will weaken the global economy for a long time to come. John Stolnis, Washington.
Tens of thousands of Americans gathered at more than 1,200 events in all 50 states over the weekend, from Maine to Florida and Texas to Alaska, with a common message aimed at President Trump: hands off. Correspondent Rich Johnson has a roundup of the rallies from coast to coast.
Hands off! Our science! Hands off!
From the biggest cities to the smallest towns to state capitals to the nation's capital, the message to President Trump echoed this chant in Charlotte, North Carolina, and these people in Los Angeles.
We don't agree with the way the government is being handled today, and this is our right. We are allowed to protest. We are allowed to get together as a group of people and say it's not okay.
I cannot see my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren coming into a world like this with him in charge.
It's not one thing. It's the Second Amendment, it's the First Amendment, it's the Third, it's the Fourth.
Those comments courtesy of KTTV. Under the common label Hands Off 2025, the rallies and marches were the first major coordinated attempt by Trump opponents to regain the movement's momentum since the beginning of Trump's second term. And if some have their way, it will be a short term.
You don't deserve the office you hold. You can't be entrusted with liberty and justice for all. You can't be entrusted with government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Texas Democrat Representative Al Green at a rally in Washington, D.C., also promised to introduce articles of impeachment against President Trump. Nearly 3,000 miles away in the other Washington,
When Elon Musk and Donald Trump come for our Social Security, we say...
Democratic Representative Camilla Jayapal in the shadow of the Space Needle in Seattle. While the president played and watched golf in Florida over the weekend, the White House issued a written statement saying, in part, President Trump's position is clear. He will always protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to eligible beneficiaries. There have been a lot of protests since Trump took office, but this was the first mass mobilization similar to the 2017 Women's March or the 2020 Black Lives Matter demonstrations. And this man at a rally in Vermont, speaking to KPTZ, expects to see more of the same.
As they start attacking our economy, as they start threatening Social Security and Medicare, which they've already threatened to do, I think more people are going to be coming out.
I'm Rich Johnson.
New spending cuts need Congress approval. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning, and with today's national forecast, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
After an incredible amount of rain that developed along a nearly stationary front through the southern plains into the Ohio Valley, the system will shift eastward today as a cold front with the heaviest rain developing through the southeast from Georgia into eastern North Carolina. A few of the thunderstorms that develop along the front will be heavy and gusty with damaging winds, localized flooding, and hail. Rain amounts could top 2 inches in some places. These storms will continue to move southward along this front through Florida today and tonight. And we'll have additional rain also falling farther north through the eastern portions of Virginia into New England. This will slowly shift eastward throughout the day with a drying trend into the afternoon. Meanwhile, a Clipper-type storm will be moving through the northern Great Lakes today and then shift eastward through southern Canada into tonight with an Arctic cold front in tow. This will lead to some widespread snow showers through eastern Wisconsin into Michigan early today and then move toward northern Indiana, Ohio, western New York, and northwestern Pennsylvania. And this will continue to build eastward tonight with snow showers mixed with rain. Behind the storm, it's going to be quite chilly and even cold through Minnesota into Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois, with highs in the 30s and 40s, and even 20s in parts of northern Michigan. And then looking out west, we have another storm shifting on shore with rain along the Washington and Oregon coast. That will also extend to northern California. And we have additional showers and even a few thunderstorms developing eastward through eastern Washington, Oregon, and northern Idaho. Showers will continue into western Montana and Wyoming tonight. That's the weather across America. A winter-like chill will lead the charge in Minneapolis, Minnesota today. Despite sunshine, we'll have a high of 38. It'll be a warmer day in Orlando, Florida, with plenty of sunshine and a high around 90. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts and listen on your preferred platform. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Republicans on Capitol Hill are hopeful that the House and Senate will agree to President Trump's agenda and spending cuts. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
There's significant progress expected this week in Washington by some Republican lawmakers following a weekend of momentum.
What I would suggest is going to happen, what should happen, is that the House committee should go ahead and proceed pursuant to the budget instructions that we already passed out of the House.
Republican Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona told Fox News it's critical to move forward in a fiscally responsible way.
Because don't forget, the president has also said that he wants to balance the budget in a short period of time.
Democrats worry that the Republicans' plan will benefit the wealthy. GOP leaders believe House Republicans need to advance the Senate-approved plan without changes or else trigger another month of delays. But as the week begins, the Senate Budget Committee has authorized the other Senate committees to start searching for budget cuts. This as Senate Republicans passed a budget resolution in a big step toward the president's tax cut agenda. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu will be meeting today at the White House for talks which will include the war in Gaza and tariffs. The first world leader to meet with the president regarding his worldwide tariff announcement, Trump levied new 17% tariffs on Israel, which exports about $22 billion worth of goods, including electronics, medicines, and diamonds to the U.S. Among other topics on their list of discussions includes the hostages still being held by Hamas, the Houthi threat in Yemen, Iran, and Turkish relations. In sports, the men's NCAA tournament comes to an end tonight as the matchup between Houston and Florida determines the national championship. 401ks take a hit. That in business when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. In for Jessica Ettinger today, here's CNBC's Peter Schacknow.
If your 401k took a hit during the past week, you are most certainly not alone. S&P 500 companies lost more than $4.5 trillion in market value just on Thursday and Friday. That came in reaction to President Trump's announcement of new tariffs late last Wednesday and a retaliation by China on Friday morning. Wisdom Tree chief economist Jeremy Siegel says there's at least one silver lining.
I think the Fed is going to be lowering interest rates. I think they have to lower interest rates as a result of this global shock. Yes, there will be higher inflation, but this is a self-inflicted wound.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, however, isn't quite ready to make the leap.
We'll continue to carefully monitor the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We're well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance.
Jason Furman, former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, says the tariffs increase the chances of a recession.
I'm still sort of 30, 40%. And the issue is we have just so much uncertainty now. Record amounts. How much does this matter? How do these tariffs get resolved? I think they're just so crazy that we're not going to have them 2 months from now. On the other hand, I didn't think we'd have them now.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau, who covers the auto industry, says the tariffs will prompt some immediate action.
Three things: add shifts, increase run rates. We'll probably see some of those announcements within the next month or two. Move some foreign-made models. That's a trickier decision. And finally, we are likely to see some announcement of new auto assembly plants. But let's be clear here. These would be announcements. It takes a couple of years, we've talked about this for some time, to build an actual auto plant.
One automaker, Korea's Hyundai, has pledged to keep prices steady for at least 2 months as a means of reassuring buyers. In the midst of the tariff controversy, President Trump signed an executive order to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. for another 75 days in the hopes of striking some sort of deal to buy the popular social media app from its Chinese parent ByteDance. But ByteDance continues to insist that TikTok is not for sale. Fed Chairman Powell may not be ready to lower rates, but at least one key interest rate has changed. The average 30-year mortgage rate is now at 6.55%. That's its lowest in 6 months. On the calendar for today, jet maker Boeing will be in court in a trial involving the 2019 crash of a 737 MAX jet in Ethiopia. Apparel maker Levi Strauss releases its quarterly earnings this afternoon, but investors will be particularly interested in what the company has to say about tariffs, which hit clothing makers particularly hard. And today is National Beer Day, celebrating the anniversary of a 1933 bill that put beer and wine back on the market ahead of the full end of Prohibition later that year.
Thank you, sir. MSNBC's Peter Schacknow. Trump administration responds to measles death when America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made a stop in Texas Sunday and visited the family of a 6-year-old girl who died of the measles virus in February. Correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports on the death of a second child linked to measles in the Lone Star State.
On Sunday, a spokesperson for UMC Health System in Lubbock, Texas, said the child was unvaccinated and had been receiving treatment for measles complications. An unvaccinated child in the state died in February. It was the first measles-related death in the U.S. in a decade. West Texas alone has almost 500 measles cases, and nationwide, it's double the number of cases reported in 2024. There's been an uptick in measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination rates, but health officials say it's not as high as they would like, especially since studies show the outbreak could go on for several more months or up to a year. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
The Great One has been surpassed by the Great Eight. Alex Ovechkin stands alone as the greatest goal scorer in hockey history. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh has the story.
Alex Ovechkin is now the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer, breaking a tie with Wayne Gretzky with his historic 895th goal with 12:34 left in the second period of Sunday's road game against the New York Islanders. Ovechkin skated into his office and ripped a one-timer from the left circle past Islanders goalie Ilya Sorokin. He then dove belly first and was mobbed on the ice by his teammates before the game was paused for a ceremony. The 39-year-old Russian broke Gretzky's 31-year-old record in his 1,487th game, the same number of games it took Gretzky to achieve the feat. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Monday, April 7th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, world markets tumble over Trump tariffs.
Deadly storms impact the South and Midwest. I'm Clayton Neville.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to return a Maryland man to the United States after he was mistakenly deported. I'm Lisa Adams Wagner.
Companies plan on how to react to new tariffs, and Trump says no to some obesity drug coverage.
16 Tesla electric vehicles were destroyed in a fire in Rome. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Defrocked former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick has died. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Jack Black and Jason Momoa drive a kids' video game movie to the top of the charts this weekend. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. You're with America in the Morning and AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
In the Northwest, we have another system moving onshore, leading to some rain in Washington and Oregon along the coast, and that extends into northern California. We'll have additional showers and even a few thunderstorms developing eastward through eastern Washington, Oregon, and northern Idaho. And even showers will extend into western Montana and Wyoming tonight. The rest of the West will be largely dry with some amount of sunshine. It will be bright sunshine extending through the southwest into the central and southern plains with a mix of few clouds in the northern plains. Highs will be mostly in the 60s and 70s in the west with a few 90s in the southwest. Some 70-degree readings will even read as far north as eastern Montana into western Nebraska. After an incredible amount of rain developed along a nearly stationary front through the southern plains into the Ohio Valley, this system is now moving eastward as a cold front with the heaviest rain through the southeast from Georgia into eastern North Carolina. A few of the thunderstorms that develop along this front will be heavy and gusty with damaging winds, localized flooding, and hail. And rain amounts could top 2 inches in some places, and these storms will continue to edge southward along this front through Florida today into tonight. Additional rain will also fall farther north through eastern portions of Virginia into New England. This will slowly move eastward through the day with a drying trend into the afternoon. And then we're looking at a Clipper-type storm moving through the northern Great Lakes and then shifting into southern Canada tonight. This will have an Arctic cold front in tow, leading to some widespread snow showers through eastern Wisconsin into Michigan early today, and then moving into northern Indiana, Ohio, western New York, and northwestern Pennsylvania. And this will continue to build eastward tonight with snow showers mixed with some rain. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Wall Street's downward spiral over the news about tariffs is expected to continue today as Wall Street futures plunged again overnight. Stock markets in Europe and Asia were also in free fall. Asian markets, including Japan's Nikkei, much like the U.S. last Thursday and Friday, are tracking their worst two-day stretch for stocks in 5 years. Trading was halted in South Korea for 5 minutes to prevent panic selling. Wall Street's concern over the Trump administration's tariff plan led to the chief economist at J.P. Morgan to say the risk of the U.S. falling into a recession is now at 60%. On the Sunday news shows, all the talk was about tariffs, and the Treasury Secretary on NBC's Meet the Press says the Trump administration will be staying the course despite Wall Street losses. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
What is your message to Americans who want to retire right now and who've just seen their lifetime savings drop significantly?
Well, Chris, I think that's a false narrative. Americans who want to retire right now, the Americans who have put away for years in their savings accounts, I think they don't look at the day-to-day fluctuations of what's happening. And, you know, in fact, most Americans don't have everything in the market. People have a long-term view. They have a program. That the reason the stock market is considered a good investment is because it's a long-term investment. If you look day-to-day, week-to-week, it's very risky. Over the long term, it's a good investment.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells NBC's Meet the Press that it's up to President Donald Trump to determine how long tariffs will last.
This week, everyone wants to look at the stock market going down. You know what else went down? Oil prices went down almost 15% in 2 days, which impacts working Americans much more than the stock market does.
But that the president has, quote, created maximum leverage for himself, end quote.
More than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs, stopping currency manipulation.
Bessent says tariffs are not something you can negotiate away in days or weeks, but he says with Friday's jobs numbers well above expectations, he doesn't think there will be a recession.
I think we could see from the jobs number on Friday that was well above expectations that we are moving forward. So I see no reason that we have to price in a recession.
Donna Warder, Washington.
At least 16 people are dead after a severe storm system with torrential rain, severe floods, hail, and dozens of tornadoes tore through parts of the South and Midwest. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Major flooding from parts of Missouri to Kentucky and places further south. This woman told KFSV-TV in Missouri that her home was destroyed when severe storms blew in.
That's my home, so that was very devastating. And to see the roof off, and my dog was inside, and so I didn't know if he was okay. And so that was extremely scary, and that was really, really hard.
Tornadoes, heavy rain, and flooding impacted the region.
Please turn around. It's not worth anyone's safety. It's not worth any risk to try to drive through water. You might not think it's deep, but you could certainly get stuck, or even worse.
Mayor Craig Greenberg.
Our roads will continue to be closed over the coming days as the Ohio River continues to rise.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency and insisted everyone should take the threat seriously. City leaders in Louisville with a stern message for those trying to get on the roads. The mayor also urging water conservation.
Please, if you can avoid using the laundry or the dishwasher this weekend, that will be helpful because there is such an amount of water going into the system right now.
Residents in Frankfort, Kentucky, warning that river levels could hit historic marks and lead to more flooding today. There were 87 reports of severe weather, including 4 tornadoes in a span of just a few days in the region. The death of a 5-year-old in Arkansas attributed to storm damage, and a 9-year-old in Kentucky killed in floodwaters. I'm Clayton Neville.
A judge has sided with a man living in Maryland from El Salvador who was expelled in what is described by the White House as a, quote, administrative error, and demanded he be removed from a Central American prison and returned to the United States by the end of today. Correspondent Lisa Adams-Wagner reports Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered the immigration lawyer tasked to the DOJ's case and his immediate supervisor to be placed on an indefinite paid administrative leave for his handling of the proceedings.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to arrange for the return of a Maryland man to the United States after he was mistakenly deported to a notorious El Salvador prison. U.S. immigration officials admitted to erroneously expelling Kilmar Abrego Garcia last month. His wife, Jennifer Vasquez Sura, spoke at a rally in Hyattsville, Maryland, before the judge's ruling.
We must fight for our husbands, our children, our neighborhood, our loved ones, fight for Kilmar, and fight for all the immigrant families, lighting a candle for the loved ones that disappeared by administration.
A 2019 court order barred him from being deported to his native El Salvador, where he faced persecution by local gangs. The White House has argued that he was an MS-13 gang member and shouldn't be returned. Abrego Garcia's attorneys have said there is no evidence he was in MS-13.
The government conceded that this case has nothing to do with the Alien Enemies Act. And the government also conceded that Title VIII did not authorize the removal of him. Essentially, they agreed from the outset that there was no legal basis to remove him. It'll be a victory when Kilmar's home with his family.
The judge issued the order Friday in response to a request from the attorneys. Audio courtesy WJLA. I'm Lisa Adams Wagner.
Denying coverage for this prescription drug and more Tesla vandalism. Those stories and morning sports ahead when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Companies around the world are taking an extremely cautious approach to President Trump's new tariff order in response to car tariffs. Stolnis ordered production halts at 2 plants in Mexico and Canada and also laid off 900 workers at U.S. factories, with more layoffs possible. British luxury car maker Jaguar Land Rover is pausing shipments to the U.S. to avoid paying tariffs. Some European and Asian car makers have already stated they'll pass the tariffs on to car buyers, with Volkswagen saying they'll add a cost line for tariffs on new car window stickers. About 97% of the clothes and shoes purchased in the U.S. are imported, predominantly from Asia, and the American Apparel and Footwear Association said over the weekend that sending children back to school in new sneakers, jeans, and T-shirts is likely to cost U.S. families significantly more this fall as manufacturers pass those costs on to consumers. America in the Morning continues. The Trump administration has decided not to cover costly injectable drugs for obesity under Medicare's Part D prescription drug program. More on the story from correspondent Jennifer King.
The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services announced it will not cover expensive, high-demand obesity treatments under the government-funded Medicare program. Injectable treatments like Wegovy and Zepbound have exploded in popularity, but many insurers have been reluctant to cover the drugs, which can cost hundreds of dollars a month. Former President Joe Biden had proposed expanding coverage. Medicare does pay for versions of the drugs that treat diabetes and for patients who have heart disease and need to reduce their risks. Just Thursday, the Senate confirmed Dr. Mehmet Oz to lead the center. I'm Jennifer King.
Theodore McCarrick, the former Archbishop of Washington and the highest American prelate of the Roman Catholic Church, to be accused of sexually abusing minors and seminarians, a charge that stripped him of his ministry, his place in the College of Cardinals, and his priesthood, has passed away. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on accusations that stretched back decades, which would later shape many of the church's policies for responding to sexual abuse.
Defrocked former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick has died. McCarrick was an advisor to 3 popes. He presided at the 2009 burial of Senator Ted Kennedy and read a letter Kennedy wrote to Pope Benedict.
I know that I have been an imperfect human being, but with the help of my faith, I have tried to right my path.
In 2019, a Vatican investigation determined McCarrick sexually molested adults and children. James Grine says he was one of those victims.
While the report itself is powerful, the abuse to me was incredibly heinous, and it hurts forever.
The report showed evidence Vatican and U.S. church leaders knew McCarrick slept with seminarians, but turned a blind eye and blamed most of it on a dead saint, Pope John Paul II. Theodore McCarrick was 94. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Incidents involving reports of vandalism of Tesla vehicles and showrooms isn't just happening in the United States. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports there's been a number of damage reports abroad, including in Italy.
16 Tesla electric vehicles were destroyed in a fire in Rome, and Italian police are looking into it as possible arson. Italian police are investigating as possible arson, a fire that destroyed more than a dozen Tesla electric vehicles at a dealership on the outskirts of Rome. Tesla Italy says it's cooperating with police in that it turned over surveillance video from the vehicles themselves. The car's internal video operates even when they're off. Tesla has been the target of protests around the world against owner Elon Musk's affiliation with the Trump administration. European sales of Tesla vehicles tumbled nearly 50% in the first 2 months of the year, even as overall sales of EVs grew. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Meta AI, large language models called Llamas, has released 2 new versions dubbed Maverick and Scout. What's all that mean? Here's Chuck Palm with today's Tech Report.
Meta Platforms has released a new large language model, version 4, which they're calling Scout, and Llama 4 Maverick. Meta said this version of their Llama is multimodal, which means that the system is capable of processing and integrating various types of data, including text, video, images, and audio, and can convert content across these different formats. Meta said in a statement that these versions of their large language model AI are their most advanced yet and the best in class for multimodality. Additionally, Meta confirmed that these will be open source, meaning people can use it in their own codes. Meta also confirmed that they are previewing Llama 4 Behemoth, which is one of the smartest LLMs in the world and the most powerful yet to serve as a teacher for newer models. Meta plans to spend as much as $65 billion this year to expand its AI infrastructure. Bitcoin down 6.5% to 77,000, and Ethereum down a whopping 12% to 1,560. Find me at chuckpalm.com.
America in the Morning's Robert Workman has Monday Sports.
Alexander Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky on Sunday as the NHL's top goal scorer all time, netting number 895 in the Capitals' 4-1 loss to the Islanders.
It's fun time. You know, it's you can see how many people traveled from all over the world to see that moment. You know, it's special.
Gretzky was on hand, as Gordie Howe had been when the Great One broke his record. Wins yesterday for the Senators, Golden Knights, Blackhawks, Wild, Canadians, Red Wings, and Sabres. NCAA Women's Basketball Championship Sunday in Tampa. Connecticut romped over defending champs South Carolina 82-59. The Huskies' 12th national title, but the first in 9 years for Coach Gino Auriemma.
I don't think the basketball gods would take us all the way to the end. They've been really cruel with some of these kids on this team. You know, they've suffered a lot of the things that could go wrong in the college career as an athlete.
AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong each had 24 points. The men's championship game is tonight in San Antonio, Florida against Houston. The NBA's top 2 teams both lost on Sunday. The Lakers thumped the Thunder 126-99. Back-to-back losses for OKC after they won 11 straight. And the Kings crowned the Cavaliers 121-13. Zach LaVine had 37 points. Wins for the Celtics, Pacers, Bucks, Bulls, Hawks, Knicks, Rockets, Raptors, and Blazers. The NBA's regular season ends next Sunday. Baseball, the Phillies nipped the Dodgers 8-7 to take 2 out of 3 from the World Series champs, who entered the weekend undefeated. Nick Castellanos belted a grand slam for the Fightins.
Anytime that, you know, the former World Series champions are kind of coming into your house, we want to perform well. We want to win.
The new league leaders, the Giants. They sank the Mariners 5-4 for their 7th straight win, thanks to a Wilmer Flores walk-off RBI knock. One of 5 walk-offs on Sunday. That's Monday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, hurricanes and himicanes. After these messages. The Minecraft video game has been a major hit with kids, and now a massive success with young and old alike at the box office. Entertainment correspondent Kevin Carr has details.
After 3 months of near misses and almost made it at the box office, there's finally a bona fide blockbuster in theaters.
Look right this way.
A Minecraft movie clobbered expectations, bringing $157 million in for the weekend.
A wonderland where anything you can imagine is possible.
That's $11 million more than the video game record holder Super Mario Bros., which also starred Jack Black.
Welcome to the overworld.
And the block's success is felt globally, with a worldwide gross of more than $300 million.
A 19-year-old girl was kidnapped.
In a distant but respectable second was last week's champ, A Working Man. Jason Statham delivered another $7.3 million for this modestly budgeted action flick.
The Pharisees are plotting to arrest Jesus of Nazareth.
Taking third place was Jesus and His Disciples again. The second part of The Chosen Last Supper brought in $6.7 million for the Fathom event exclusive of the biblical television epic's fifth season.
The queen is evil. You must flee into the woods.
The troubled Snow White is still in the running, though losing steam fast, easing to $6.1 million for fourth place.
Today's the day.
And rounding out the top five was the horror flick The Woman in the Yard. This dark, slow burn scared up $4.5 million in its second weekend. Right now, kids are driving the box office and don't expect Minecraft to cave in anytime soon. I'm Kevin Carr.
The 2025 hurricane season hasn't even started yet, but that's not stopping the World Meteorological Organization from taking a few names out of the chance to be used in a future named storm. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports on a new batch of hurricane names being retired.
Helene, Milton, and Beryl were so nasty last year that their names are being retired. Those 2024 storms killed more than 300 people and caused more than $119 billion in damage. Helene was by far the deadliest and most expensive of the three, claiming 249 lives, devastating portions of North and South Carolina. Milton came on the heels of Helene. Most of Milton's damage occurred in Florida. Beryl was notorious as the earliest Category 5 storm to form in a season. Brianna, Holly, and Miguel take their place in the rotating 6-year list of names for Atlantic storms that are set in advance by a committee of international meteorologists. Retiring the names of killer storms is a regular practice, with a list now approaching 100 names. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
And that's our show for today, Monday, April 7th, 2025. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Troutz. This is Westwood One.